I'm very pleased to introduce Sarah Traficanto, who's the VP for Enterprise Sales at Mountain. Thanks for joining us, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we're going to talk about why the brands of tomorrow use CTV today. So, first question, for decades, brands have used TV ads to achieve their branding goals, and marketers have had performance options through direct response inventory, but they've been forced to accept uncomfortable trade-offs, such as preemptible inventory and little to no audience targeting. Is CTV really able to change that dynamic?
Yes. The answer, of course, is yes. I think we've heard that a lot on the stage today with business-based outcomes. So I think really, this whole idea of DR went away a few years ago, right, when the IAB came out with the 250 D2C brands to watch. It's no longer relegated to just a certain pod, or a certain part of the viewing experience. Performance marketers, as they're called, right, they need their outcomes and they need it in the inventory that everyone else accesses. And streaming allows that. I mean, we have the same pipes as other performance channels, right? Search and social. But also, it's on the biggest and best screen in the house. So you allow storytelling combined with the metrics that performance marketers need. So it's absolutely the right place to be. And I think, again, as we've heard multiple times on the stage today, it's what everyone's leaning towards. It's not just this specific group of advertisers anymore. One example that a company that we're working with right now, which is a major airline, right? They've had beautiful television spots for decades and decades with music and images.
Rhymes with, no, I'm not going to
Rhymes with, Smusmited, no. And then they've leaned into these other performance platforms to really drive conversion, which, travel industry in general, right? It's all about conversion. So why weren't they using that on the TV? So we started working with them last year and really talked about where CTV could fit for them in that funnel, how we could measure that, how we could prove out the CTV ad really was driving those conversions. And it's been an amazing partnership so far. I think, we average about $2 and change per session, which has exceeded their expectations. And, so far, so good. But, again, it's like the CFO and the CMO agenda comes together when you can find that solution for some of these big brands.
Right, so when you're talking about a big brand like that, obviously coming into the CTV space when they've been doing things in a legacy media way for so long is a big change. But what about when we're focusing on the emerging brands like you brought up before, like direct response or DTC brands? What is the advantage that they have, and they still have the same issues with, say, frequency and all the other things that people complain about with some streaming channels? How does it benefit them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the hardest things for those small emerging brands has been cost in the past, right? CTV's been more expensive than they've been used to spending, and to really scale their business, they haven't been able to afford that. But now they can. And I think that's, again, someone referenced it earlier, like less focus on CPM and more focus on the outcome. And then you're optimizing towards efficiency. So we have another partner, Rumpel. If anybody has their blankets, they're great. And they really were seeing a lot of rapid growth from their brands with search and social, but then they kind of plateaued, right? They couldn't get any farther because they weren't reaching all the audiences that were really out there for them. And so again, like through working with them and showing them how CTV could fit into that model without raising the bottom line that much, it really worked well for them, and they found incremental audiences. And they're also leaning into creative services now to even get more personalized in their messages, which of course is another benefit of CTV.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about performance, and obviously one of the other things that people have been mentioning a lot is the economy. So, how do you think the ad industry will navigate the economic uncertainty that lies ahead? Many of the major digital ad platforms have signaled caution, yet many big agencies are saying that their clients are still spending, albeit with backup plans in case the economy worsens. How can you address that?
Yeah, marketers have hard jobs. I would not want to be in their seats right now. But as we saw, again, they're really smart, and I think they've learned a lot the last couple of years, certainly, and a lot of those tactics that came out of the pandemic are still being applied today. We're seeing in some ways, I think of it as two buckets, really. There's the video bucket that CTV can play in, and then there's also that performance kind of search and social bucket. So with video, we're seeing a lot of folks, while the upfront is here to stay, it seems, for a while, I think clients are demanding more flexibility with their options, and they're also holding money back. They're not putting all their eggs into that basket. They know they can't. They want to be able to shift strategies. They want to be able to take advantage of cultural moments. They want to just have the money in case something goes crazy, right? So we're seeing a lot of that money being held back and then placed into this almost like secondary scatter marketplace that really is fully focused on performance. What's great about Mountain is that we are an at-will platform. So folks can come in and test with that money. They can see what works. That can help dictate a lot of their other strategies. So we're seeing a lot of that with the economy in the video space. The other side of it that, of course, it would be remiss not to mention with everything going on today in the last few weeks, really is what's going on the social side of our business. And brand safety is non-negotiable for, I would say, 99%, of marketers. And so a lot of folks are having to move off of those platforms, but then how do you make up for the loss of that performance and the audiences that you're reaching there? And that's why it's just been so fun to really further educate our partners on how CTV can be that replacement, both in data, in reporting, in real-time optimization, and again, without raising costs and really just focusing on those business outcomes.
And I think it was the next question. We have a slide if you want to pop it up there, Steve. So by now, many brands have either spent or are planning to spend on CTV, as we know. Based on what you're seeing, how should they think about using CTV to its fullest potential? So walk us through this.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, and these are really just general takeaways, but as far as how clients should think about CTV, I would implore them to think about CTV for performance. I mean, Peter said it this morning. What is the number one metric that, clients are looking for? Sales. There's no mystery there. Like, you have to, we were working with the head of one of the holdcos recently, and she said they've shifted from buying stuff for their clients to selling stuff for their clients, and that's the sentiment. I think CTV has long been thought of as this upper funnel branding play as it's gotten, grown up and tried to be more like TV and tried to mirror that experience. But it's here now, and we would be crazy not to think about all the great metrics and the great really like insights that we can get from using the data that comes from it. So I would say, experiment with different audiences, try different niche audiences or not so niche. I liked that part of the panel. Really demand from your partners the right reporting, the right information to use to make those decisions. For example, like we have our own platform, we can measure performance, but we're also happy to work with others. We're working with a big box retailer right now that uses Ipsos as their source of truth. So we're like, fine, we'll work with Ipsos. And sure enough, after some testing, Ipsos is like, yes, this is great. It's performing, it's working. So challenge your partners to show you how CTV can work for you. And then third in that bucket, that's really kind of a fun part, and I know we had a panel on this earlier too, is how we continue down that path of personalization. CTV does allow you to talk to different audiences in different ways, so shouldn't you also have different messages for those audiences, right? Not just deliver the same message. So I'm excited for marketers to have CTV as this mid to lower funnel solution now, and I agree with someone else that said it earlier, like you just have to demand it. It should be expected now.
Do you agree with what that other panelist said earlier, that linear was dead? Is it, you can go so far as saying that?
I loved that he said that. I agree with someone that said linear is not dead, it's just being delivered in different ways.
Cool.
Content is king. So whoever's making the content, I think, is the most important part of it. How it's being delivered, yeah, I think it's fading.
I don't want to end on a bad note, so give me something, let's give everybody something positive to look forward to in the coming year. Obviously, people are worried about a troubled economy, but other than what we've already talked about, what can everybody else be looking forward to in the streaming space?
Just choice and control. I mean, I think everyone would agree with that, right? We have more opportunity now than ever before to really perfect our marketing plans and get the data and the performance that we deserve for our clients and for our customers. So challenge your partners, and it's a fun time to be in CTV.
All right, we're going to end with a fun time. All right, thank you, Sarah Traficanto for
You're welcome.
Mountain.
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.